The No Fate channel checking in, and we're getting ready for a Spartan race. After 2 long years, I am finally getting back to live races. I'm going to be taking on the Spartan Fenway Stadium Series, and this is week 1 of my training, and I'm asking you to come along and join me. Have you signed up for any live races in 2021 or going forward into 2022? Drop them in the comments below. Now, today's video, I'm going to take you through the entire first week of my training regimen, and I want to talk you through some of the changes that I incorporate as I kind of flip that switch from my old training into my Spartan Race training. If this is your first time to the channel, hey, hit that red subscribe button. I'm just a dad of 2, trying to be a great parent to my kids and still accomplish my own personal goals. I happen to personally find that signing up for races and having future objectives and goals really keeps my mind and body fresh as I change things around, both in my training and in my diet and in my lifestyle. So hopefully you'll enjoy this series as I take you through some of the training that I do leading up to the Spartan Fenway. And of course, I'm going to take you along for every obstacle in 4K on that Spartan Fenway. I can't tell you about how I've flipped the switch to Spartan training without telling you about my previous training. Now, prior to this week, I was doing predominantly a bodybuilding workouts where I would do fundamental exercises followed up by a lot of isolation exercises and then sprinkle in some functional exercises to just feel good about my mobility. Now, as I flip that switch, I'm not going to be doing a complete 180. And I think that's where people kind of go the wrong path. They think they have to throw the baby out with the bathwater and they've just got to reinvent the wheel. And I don't do that. I'd like to make small, effective changes to show a big difference. What I do is I swap out the isolation exercises and I throw in all of the funky functional exercises you could probably think of. We're talking sandbags, kettlebells, battle ropes, stability balls, and what that does, combined with a lot more shortened rest during those exercises, is to push the heart rate through the roof to kind of build up that VO2 max, that threshold, that lactic acid threshold, as well as kind of peak my mobility so that when I'm doing a lot more of the stuff on the obstacle course race, my body can handle it. And a lot of the functional exercises do in part mimic some of those obstacles we're going to see along the way. Also, I hate to say it, but I have to incorporate running. And most people, when they think of an obstacle course race, they either don't want to do the running or they do it wrong. And how do you run wrong? Well, they just go out and do mileage. Boring mileage. And unfortunately, an obstacle course race isn't like that. You're not going to run 3 straight miles. You happen to run a quarter of a mile, and then you do an obstacle, another quarter of a mile or a half a mile and an obstacle. It's always a lot of hurry up, stop and do an obstacle, hurry up and stop and do an obstacle. So when I incorporate running into my workouts, I do the same thing. I'll do straightaways followed by burpees, straightaways followed by air squats, straightaways followed by Navy SEAL burpees if I'm really feeling up to it. But I get my mileage in, but I do it in broken intervals in order to train my body to be used to going hard, stopping, doing an exercise or an obstacle, then going hard again. And even though I get the mileage in, it allows my body to understand that transition, understand how my breathing is going to change, and be able to handle that heart rate through that experience, because that's exactly what you're going to get the day of the obstacle course race. Woo! All right, first training run for the Spartan Fenway, and we're going to get the rust off of these wheels. I'm going to be doing just jogs all the way to the end, followed by 10 burpees. We're going to rinse and repeat until the watch says 20 minutes. Now, since this is the first running, and I don't know how long, we're not going to try to set any land speed records. We're just going to go nice, slow, more like a jog. Even with the burpees, we're going to just try to be consistent. Nothing crazy, just get it done, and hopefully just get some good work in without feeling too bad tomorrow. probably the biggest change in training has to do with your grip training. Previously, I was getting all my grip training just from lifting weights, and now I'm going to be doing grip training every day of the week, and I'm going to be throwing in a lot of specific grip exercises. Now, most people, when they do grip training for an obstacle course race, they do it wrong, and I hate to say that, but when people think of grip training, they think of grip strength, that big, strong individual picking that 400-pound deadlift up with no wraps, no chalk, no nothing, and just in their bare hands. And that's true. You do need to have a really good grip strength during your obstacle course race. However, people think of grip strength and they don't think of grip endurance. Most people will have grip strength for the first couple of obstacles, but once they're tired, once they've hit that 2-mile mark, once they've hit that 15th obstacle, grip strength goes out the window, and all you've got left is grip endurance. And if you don't train grip endurance, you're going to fall short on all the obstacles at the end of the race, especially because all those obstacles are going to be covered with dirt, blood, slime, salt, who knows what, and you're going to be slipping and sliding, and your grip is going to be useless. The other thing that many people really overlook is finger strength. And I'm going to make a whole video in this series dedicated to grip training because it's that important. But many people will overlook finger strength. And the reality is most of your grip doesn't necessarily come from your jacked forearm. Even though people have to have these jacked forearms, most of your strength, especially your grip endurance, comes from your fingertips. I want you to think of like those rock climbers that just have these gnarly fingertips that can hold their whole body weight on just like a little stone edge. That's what you need on a lot of the obstacles, because when your grip forearm strength tightens up, becomes a knot, is useless, you're gonna need that finger strength to hold on to the gymnastics rings, hold on to twister, and hold on to everything else. One thing that I change on my normal routine when I switch from my normal training to Spartan Race training is something that I think everyone overlooks, and that is my diet. You can't change your training and keep the same diet and expect the same results. Now, I know from personal experience, as soon as I incorporate running and higher volume into my training regimen, I can't keep weight on. Now, I know that's a problem that many of you wish you had, but it's not the weight that we want to lose, right? It's not that around the waist weight, that little pinch of fat, you can just reach down there and grab. It's muscle weight. As soon as I start running, size comes off my upper body and my lower body, and I look skinny fat. So in order to adjust for that, I need to take in a lot of extra calories. And while this may sound stupid, it's tough. It's tough to eat a lot of extra calories cleanly. I'm not talking about honeydew donuts or anything like that. I'm talking about clean calories. And what I do to combat that is I get a bottle, and usually I go through about 2 bottles during my training, of NutriBio's Extreme Mass Gainer. Now, obviously, I recommend get as much, if not all, of your dietary needs from whole food sources. But oftentimes that can be expensive, or you just don't have the time to prepare, and frankly, you don't have the time to eat that many meals throughout the day. I personally like NutriBio's Extreme Mass because they're 100% label transparent. They make their own products, they've got third-party testing, and they don't throw in a whole bunch of junky sugar. I use a half a scoop a day, which is 320 calories. I never do a full scoop. That 320 calories is the sweet spot to go over the top for my body. What I don't want is my body looking for extra calories in order to kind of fend for itself as I put it through the paces, only to find that they're not there. Because when that happens, when I do a lot of that running and my metabolism is just beyond jacked through the roof, it just pulls from my muscle and I lose all my size in my arms and my legs and in my upper body. And frankly, I worked hard to put on that size, and during your obstacle course race, you're going to want all the muscle you can get. So that's why I go with NutriBio's Extreme Mass, and that's why I recommend to make sure in your diet that you're getting enough calories in, protein, carbs, healthy fats, minerals, micronutrients as well, that is in order to make sure that your body isn't pulling from your muscles during that crazy high intense days. Because when you're training for the obstacle course race, you're probably going to be burning through a lot more calories than you typically would with your previous training. I want to know in the comments below which is your next live race. I am looking for a few more. I've got that itch and I'm really excited for the Spartan Fenway. Future videos are going to take you through not only my training, but my running training specifically, as well as my grip training specifically. And then I'm going to take you to Fenway Park, where we're going to go through every obstacle in 4K fashion. Hopefully you found today's video informative. I'll put links in the description to some of my previous videos, as well as some of the stuff that I talked about today. If you're interested, click on those links. It does help support the channel. As usual, thank you for watching, and don't save anything for the trip back.